Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Richard Moglen, and welcome to this week's combined market outlook and watch list video. So starting off with Investors Business Daily, you've got the big picture article going on right here. Overall, very positive things. There's actually less distribution days now on the NASDAQ and S&P as we continue on with this uptrend. And you can see the current outlook is also a confirmed uptrend. The overall article is just about different stocks that have been increasing on volume, like Lulu, and overall positive things, even with some more discussion of the China trade deal. Now looking at wishingwealthblog.com, again, you've got the GMI a 6 out of 6, and the GMI overall signal being green since mid-October. So very strong indicators from both IBD and wishingwealthblog.com. It's also very interesting. Dr. Wish was talking about his TQQQ strategy, which is basically instead of looking for stocks during a new uptrend, instead investing part of your portfolio into the triple leverage ETF based on the NASDAQ. And this strategy is very effective, but you definitely need to have sell rules to make sure that you get out when the trend moves downwards. Now looking at the indexes in TC2000, you can see that both the QQQ and the SPY are rising strongly into new high ground above their previous points right here when they got knocked down. You can also see that they're strongly above their 10-day moving averages, and the 30-day moving average for both the SPY and the QQQ are both tailing upwards currently. You've also got the 50-day in support here, and the 200-day also moving up. So all very strong things from the two major indexes. I also want to point out that the IWM, which is the Russell 2000 index, the 30-day is finally moving upwards in support of the other two major indexes. It's also a good thing and a good habit to check out FFTY, which is the IBD 50 ETF, and you can see that it's almost breaking above its 200-day moving average, and its 30-day moving average is finally moving upwards as well. And this is a good ETF to check basically because it's an indicator of how well growth stocks are doing in the market. Pointing out just one more thing about the indexes, you can see that the NASDAQ this week had kind of some bad days. Even though they were up, they're kind of hesitant here. But it closed out the week on a very strong day, starting low and then ending high and above the close and open of the previous day. So definitely a strong performance on last Friday, even though we didn't reclaim the overall high of the week. So now let's go ahead and look at the technicals of my watch list for this week. Anything that is not flagged does not have the support of strong earnings or sales, but anything that does has pretty decent overall fundamentals. So starting with ACAD, you can see that on the daily charts, it pushed up huge on earnings and it's been going sideways for a bit. It's got a bit of a Bollinger Band squeeze here with a Bollinger Band indicator on this last bar, and its 50-day is rising to support the move. So look for a move above this level right here, and that could be a potential entry point. For AIZ, you can see a similar chart. Honestly, it was moving up very quickly, then kind of sideways for a couple weeks, 2 months, and then it had a whole bunch of entry signals here and finally broke out on this past Friday. So look for a continuation on increased volume as well. Hopefully you want to see something like this bar over here. For ARWR, you can see it's been moving up very strongly since the beginning of October on this bar when you had both the green dot and Bollinger Band on the same bar. As I said, a very strong signal in my last video. And you can see it's kind of consolidating the move, though it had a decently strong day this past Friday. So what I want to see for Arrowhead is for it to kind of flatten out a bit, decrease in volatility, and then hopefully move another leg upwards. CPRT is also on a strong overall uptrend, and you can see that it's moving back down now to hit its 50-day moving average, and hopefully it can find support there. It did have a green dot on this past Friday, so that could be a possible entry point, and it's pretty low risk as well, but you want to make sure that if it keeps moving down like this, that you get out. Now looking at DOKU, you can see that it tried to break through the green line early this week on Monday, but it wasn't successful. It was a failed green line breakout. And this is a negative sign, but that doesn't mean that you should completely disregard it if it moves through it again on increased volume. You can see that still it's got this decrease in volume, which is good. So definitely if it breaks this green line again, that could be a possible entry point. Now looking at EDU, you can see it's in a strong overall uptrend, as all of these are, and is kind of resting for a bit this past 2 weeks. So look for kind of decreased volatility and hopefully decreased volume as well, and then finally another move upwards. Now looking at ARWR Life Sciences, a pretty similar chart. You had kind of a flat base here that it broke out of and slowly drifted upwards here, but look to see for a more convincing move on volume in the next coming weeks. Now looking at Generac, you can see that it's really tightening up on this right side. You've got less than 1% moves the past week almost. So look for it to finally break out on increased volume in the next couple weeks or so. Now looking at keys, you can see kind of a decreasing volatility pattern right here. And this past few weeks, it's been pretty tight. Look to see it kind of, like the others, break out on increased volume. OLED as well is recovering strongly from a recent downturn. Look to see it break through this green line on increased volume, and that could be a positive sign. You can see that over here it tried to break through it on a green line breakout on increased volume, but it fell right back through the base it had been forming. So that was definitely a negative sign, but that doesn't mean that you give up on the stock, and its fundamentals are pretty strong still. So it's definitely one to keep in mind and keep on your watch list. Now looking at RH, this is one of the top stocks on this watch list right now. It's got excellent fundamentals, and you can see a whole lot of entry points in these past 3 days. And you can see it's finding support near this green line area as well. So this could really bounce off the 50-day and continue its strong run upwards as it's been doing for most of this year. And now looking at RNG, you can see it really bounced up strongly on earnings, I suppose, over here. And now it's been kind of consolidating. So a good strong entry point would be if it breaks through this level right here on increased volume. Now looking at SAFE, you can see that it's near all-time highs, as all of these are, and you had kind of the cup and handle pattern right here, and hopefully it continues to break through after this Bollinger Band bounce and move into new high ground. And finally, looking at SAH, you can see that it's near all-time highs and it's been consolidating a bit these past 2 weeks. So as with the others, wait for it to continue the uptrend and receive confirmation of that with a green line, which it should be coming reasonably soon if it starts moving upwards. So that's it for the technicals of these stocks. I won't cover the fundamentals in this video because I've noticed that you guys seem to lose interest at that point, and I agree, it is kind of boring for me to just read out earnings and sales numbers. But if you want to know the fundamentals of a specific stock, leave it down below in the comments and I'd be happy to let you know my take on that stock. And just to end the video, I want to give a brief summary of how I came to pick these stocks for my watch list. So I initially started with the top 400 from my fundamental ranking scale, and then I imported that into TC2000, and then I ran 3 different scans. So basically I looked for a yellow band stock, which I have a whole video on that, which will be linked right above. And then I looked for the 10-4 stochastics to be below 80, meaning that's not overextended at this time. And I also looked for the current price to be over $12, so it's not a cheap stock. And then I went through manually and picked charts that I found really promising, and that's how I came up with this final 14 stock watch list. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and please remember to leave a like down below. I would really appreciate it, and best of luck this week, and I'll see you guys in future videos.